Hello, boys and girls. Welcome in this new lesson. I hope you're all doing well, that you also enjoy your freedom when you can do your lessons and when you can do your homework and that kind of things. Well, last time we listened to the story about Polycarp, who was martyred, killed because he believed in Christ. And today I would like to tell you something more about another aspect of the early church, and that has something to do with an apology and apologists. And I would like to talk with you about that. And I would also show you some examples, well, from the past, but also from today, because apologists are, well, still there, and I would like to tell you something more about that. Well, this second section is called Worshipped, Renounced, and Defended. And I would like to focus on the aspect of defending faith, because that's actually what apologists are doing. They are defending faith. So the first aspect of apologetics is defending Christian faith. For example, Christians were accused of drinking the blood of children. So the early Christian apologists were explaining that this was not the truth about Christians. They were also, secondly, so that was kind of because they were accused of things, they were also explaining things. That's something which was very important, because it could be, we don't know that for sure, but it could be that they mixed up children's baptism and the Lord's Supper, in which we indeed say about the cup that it contains, or that it refers to the blood of Christ, and that people heard something about that, and that was the reason why they said, well, Christians are drinking the blood of children. So then you have to explain things. And the third thing is that they were sometimes also attacking the beliefs of non-Christians. For example, a lot of people in that time worshipped a lot of gods. So you see that the early Christians apologists are attacking those beliefs and also saying why they didn't believe them. So that was kind of the three aspects of the work of apologists in the early church. Well, actually, nothing has changed. Apologists today do still the same thing. Well, one of the a very famous apologist was Justin Martyr. As you can see, he lived from around 100 till 165, so he was 65 years old. He was born in Flavia, Neapolis in Samaria, so in well, today we call Israel, and in that time it was well, part of Canaan. So there he was born. Later on he moved to Rome, so that was the center of the Roman Empire, and there he had a philosophical school where a lot of people also got educated. And at a certain point he had a dispute, so a discussion with a certain philosopher, and he was after that discussion he was captured and later on beheaded. So that's also why why he's called Justin Martyr, because he was killed for his faith. However, we also have some of the things he did. That's very interesting to see, that he was also explaining his faith to others, and we have two examples from that. And I would like to read a few parts from well, one of his apologies. So we call that an apology. So an apology is a written defense of well, of Christian faith. So chapter 1 is the introduction. To the Emperor Titus Aelius Adrianus Antoninus Pius Augustus Caesar, and to his son Verisimus the philosopher, and to Lucius the philosopher, the natural son of Caesar and the adopted son of Pius, a lover of learning, and to the sacred synod, with the whole people of the Romans. I, Justin, the son of Priscus and grandson of Bacchius, natives of Flavia and Neapolis in Palestine, present this address and petition in behalf of those of all nations who are unjustly hated and wantonly abused, myself being one of them. So here Justin presents himself as the one who is speaking on behalf of a lot of Christians. So what he's doing is, you can see he's defending himself. So he says, hence we are called atheists, and we confess that we are atheists, so far as gods of this sort are concerned, but not with respect to the most true God, the Father of righteousness, and temperance and the other virtues, who is free from all impurity. But both him and the Son, who came forth from him and taught us these things, and the host of the other good angels who follow and are made like him, and the prophetic spirits, we worship and adore, knowing them in reason and truth, and declaring without grudging to everyone who wishes to learn as we have been taught. So here you can see that the accusation was that they were atheists. And he says, well, that's true, because we don't worship all the gods of the Romans. However, we worship the most true God. So we aren't atheists because we worship the one true God and his Son. But we don't worship all the gods that the Romans have. Well, he doesn't stop there because he is also attacking. And that's also something you see in chapter 9 of his apology. And neither do we honor with many sacrifices and garlands of flowers such deity as men have formed and set in shrines. So shrine is a place where they worship gods and called gods, since we see that these are soulless and dead and have not a form of God. For we do not consider that God has such a form, as some say that they imitate to his honor, but have the names and forms of those wicked demons which have appeared. For why need we to tell you who already know into what forms the craftsmen, carving and cutting, casting and hammering, fashion the materials, and often out of vessels of dishonor, by merely changing the form and making an image of the requisite shape. They make what they call a god, which we consider not only senseless, but to be even insulting to God, who, having ineffable glory and form, thus gets his name attached to things that are corruptible and require constant service, and that the artificers of these are both intemperate and not to enter into particulars, are practiced in every vice. Vice are bad habits or sins. You very well know, even their own girls who work along with them they corrupt. What infatuation, that dissolute men should be said to fashion and make gods for your worship, and that you should appoint such men the guardians of the temples where they are enshrined, not recognizing that this is unlawful, even to think or to say that men are the guardians of the gods. So you can see that Justin is attacking because, well, he says, well, you have all your shrines and you call them gods, but on the other end, you have to guard them. So can't this god protect himself? So here you can see that indeed also, well, they are made of materials, so they are carving and cutting, casting and hammering, fashion the materials. So there you see, well, we don't have to make an image of God because that makes God smaller. It's, as he says, insulting to God because God has ineffable glory and form. You can't see God, you can't make him visible. So here you can see that Justin is also attacking the beliefs of the Romans, and that's also the reason why the Christians also started to be effective, because people read those things and also noticed that what they believed was kind of strange. Well, there it doesn't stop, because also today there are a lot of apologists. Here I have two links, and I will also add a video to the YouTube channel, or a link you can find on It's Learning as well. The first one is C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis was a very famous apologist. Some say he was, I think he is the biggest of the 20th century, where he made well, Christian faith also relevant for people, and he showed the relevance of it. And there is a very interesting channel on YouTube, which is making doodles of the thoughts of C.S. Lewis. But you can have a look over there. Another one, that's the second one, is Rabbi Zacharias. He also has a ministry, and it's also on YouTube. And you can see that he is well, explaining Christian faith to non-believers, but also answering questions that people have about Christian faith. So that's also the reason why I added an example about the question, if, well, there is a God, why the coronavirus? Well, you can have a look at that video to see how they are doing apologetics to people who don't believe, or sometimes apologetics is also for people who believe but have questions about faith. So it's very interesting to watch these videos. Well, so far the lesson about apologies. I hope you enjoyed it.